Hi guys, my name is Tylee, and today I'm going to be sharing my testimony. And really, testimony is just of everything that the Lord has done into my life up to this point. And I just wanted to share a little bit about why I'm even sharing this today. Lately, I feel like I have just been under a very big spiritual attack, and every single time that I am like sharing something, usually just little things like that the Lord's doing in my life or speaking to me or growing me in, immediately I notice an intensive attack over my feelings and my thoughts in that area, as if there had been no growth or as if the Lord hadn't moved. And it's been going on for a few weeks now, and it has begun to just feel so heavy sometimes to just combat that all the time and to feel discouraged in my voice. But I also am so aware that what the enemy attacks is threatening to him, and so I want to continue to share that. But I was reminded of Revelation 12 verses 10 through 11, and it says, "And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God. And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, for they love not their lives even unto death." And I was just praying yesterday as I was just feeling so discouraged yesterday morning, just like, Lord, what do you want me to do right now? And he said, I want you to share your testimony. And he reminded me of that verse of how we conquer the accuser and the enemy through the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, by remembering what the Lord has done in our life, by continuing to speak of the goodness of the Lord, regardless of what the enemy is trying to steal, kill, and destroy. And so that is why I'm sharing this today. And it's not necessarily going to be in story format. I'm just going to start talking about things that the Lord's done in my life, and just the things that has taught me about the Lord's character as well. So I'm going to start really young. When I was 2 years old, actually, this is the first moment where I just see the Lord so powerfully in my life. My parents actually got a divorce when I was 2. That was due to addiction and betrayal and just some issues that they had in their marriage. They got divorced. And every day at the age of 2, me and my sister would pray to the Lord that he would restore my parents' marriage, that he would bring them back together. It hurt our hearts a lot that there was brokenness there, and we just believed that God would bring them back together. We asked him that every single night. And sure enough, 3 years later, the Lord had completely redone my parents, touched them and healed them and changed them. And they got remarried. They decided to start a new, fresh marriage and are still married to this day, which is such a testament to the Lord's faithfulness. And I think that it has always been a reminder to me that the Lord answers prayers, even the prayers of a child. I mean, we were so little praying those prayers, but the Lord heard them, and he changed our whole lives in that, and did a miraculous thing in my parents and in their marriage because of the power of prayer and believing in faith for the promises of God. So that was the first testimony of Jesus in my life, and it just is so sweet now as a mother to think about the prayers of my children being the catalyst of what will break bondage in our family and set our family free from things. And I just think that's so beautiful. And the Lord is so good, and he loves children. Anyways, the second thing is later on in my life, when I was like a preteen, I just began to get super depressed, and I was self-harming to numb the pain of feeling depressed, and it just got really bad. I didn't want to be awake. I was trying to sleep all the time. I didn't want to interact with people. And at the same time, I think I wanted to be seen. I wanted people to know I was hurting. But I was just struggling so much. And at that same time, I entered into a sort of non-committed relationship with a boy that was was just purely really physical, but I started to find my identity in him, and I just became infatuated with his attention, with his love, and that kind of played into this whole depression and self-harm and worthiness struggle that I would see in my life for quite a while. It was a long couple of years, few years that this was impacting my life. And when I turned 16 around then, I had enough of it. Like I could not deal with it anymore. I had been living like this for years, just feeling so stuck in bondage, waking up every day, feeling like there was no purpose in that day, and just feeling like, what is even the point of all of this? Like, if I'm gonna feel like this forever, what is the point? You know, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. This cycle is killing me, and I'm done, you know? And so I had a moment. I was just sitting in the bathroom and holding some pills, and I was just ready. I was ready to be gone and to just let this pass from me, this weight, this depression that I felt. And the Lord prompted my heart in that moment to call my sister, which was such a merciful act of God. And I called her, and that was the first time I ever let someone into what I was feeling. I had never really told anybody that these things were going on in my heart. And obviously she told my parents after that. And then we started going to family counseling, where I started to heal with the Lord. I learned tools, and I learned how to depend on the Lord and just like heal in him and lift this weight off and let people support me, like my counselor and my parents. And it was such a hard process. Like, I don't want to paint this as like a picture of I just went to counseling and I was just set free from depression and self-harm. This was an every single day battle of surrendering my mind to the Lord, of surrendering my heart to the Lord, of surrendering my addiction of self-harm to the Lord. And it was really brutal and gruesome, and I constantly had to remind myself that I was being healed, and that I was going to be a joyful person, and I was going to be set free from this. And as I continued to seek the Lord and walk in him, he healed me, and my life became a life of joy, and my perspective became a perspective of life. And my addiction started to fall off, and I didn't feel the weight and the temptation of that anymore. And it was so beautiful. It was time tasking, it was hard, but man, that journey with the Lord just solidified so much in me of his faithfulness and his goodness, and just his power to heal from years and years and years of emotional weight and hurt and pain, which is why I'm so passionate about mental health now, because I've seen firsthand that I am serving a God who heals people from the weight of mental health and addiction and just really anything that is bondage, right? So that was a beautiful testimony of the Lord. And second to that, the I guess you would call it situationship nowadays, that I was in was just, getting progressively more hurtful and worse for me, in my heart, and my identity was feeling more attached to this person the longer that this went on, and it was just really not good. And I knew that I needed to have a clean break. I knew that my heart wouldn't be able to fully let go unless I was kind of forced to. And so at 17, I actually moved across the country and went to a Bible college, just so that I could walk away and I could have space to choose the life that I wanted to live, instead of just the life that I would end up in if I continued in the same cycle that I saw. And I arrived at college shattered into a million pieces. My identity was all over the place. I had no idea who I was, and it was really difficult to navigate, but what a beautiful place to be able to navigate that, in a place that is like pushing you towards Jesus. So again, I went to counseling there, and I just sought the Lord again to just heal me from from the shame and from the guilt that I felt and the separation from him that I felt, the baggage, the boundaries that I just gave into, the memories, the betrayal, the identity, and just all of the things. There was so much to that because it was so long and it started when I was so little, and it was again just like a grueling process. But again, in the Lord met me, He changed me, and He set me on a path to new life. And honestly, there are still things to this day that the enemy will try to bring up from this old relationship to make me feel unworthy or unhealed, or just still in a wrestle with things from my past. But I continue to choose to walk in freedom and in the identity that He's given me in Christ, which is redeemed, which is made new, and a daughter of the King. And in this whole process, I've just learned how gracious God is and how patient He is with us as we heal, as we learn to navigate the consequences of choices that we made, and as we choose to walk with Him and learn how to have identity in Him. When I was 20, I was diagnosed with chronic UTIs, which was super discouraging. I was getting them very often, and it was just miserable and it sucked so bad. And so I just started praying over my body that the Lord would heal me from that, and that would not be something that would have to label me for the rest of my life. And sure enough, we're coming up on like 4 years now of I haven't had a UTI, and that has just been another one of those blessings where the Lord showed up and He healed my body. And I've been able to walk in healing for that for years now, and it's been such a beautiful gift and such a beautiful reminder that the Lord is more powerful than a diagnosis, and He is healer over all. When I was 21, I got into a really bad car accident. I was actually stopped on a road and I got hit by a semi-truck that was going 60 miles per hour. So my car was totally destroyed, obviously. And I also got a spinal injury from that wreck. And just dealing with the aftermath of a wreck is just so overwhelming, no matter what. But I just could not find another car to get, especially in the budget of my car, of what it was worth. And me and my fiance at the time, we were just trying to look for cars, and even at one point we actually decided that we wanted this one specific car, and we went to go buy it, and his wife had accidentally wrecked it right before, and it just felt like at every point every single door was closing, and I was getting so stressed because the rental car was going to be due soon, and the insurance was calling it back, and we really just needed this to kind of wrap up, but it didn't seem like it was going to wrap up. And so we just kept praying that the Lord would provide, that He would open a door for us to be able to get a car that would be a blessing to us, that would be a good car. And literally, I think it was the day before I had to return my rental car. The lady that I lived with, she's so precious. The lady that I lived with at the time, she came to me and she said, "Hey, the Lord has been prompting my heart to sell you my car for whatever you're getting from insurance," which was about half of what her car was actually worth. And I just remember that moment of just feeling like, holy crap, the Lord is not only providing a car, but a car that I could not afford, and that it was such a beautiful, beautiful blessing to me. And I think that not only was that provision in that moment, but it was such sweet provision for the future too, because we had our first baby like a year and a half after that, and we would have needed a bigger car to start our family with anyways. And every time that I drive that car, I just remember that He provides, that He is so faithful, and He provides like abundantly too, because He could have just let us get a car that was the same price as the car that got wrecked, but He didn't. He blessed us above and beyond with a really, really nice car that we couldn't have afforded otherwise, and it was just such a beautiful picture of His goodness and His blessing. And also with that, like I said, I got a spinal injury from this wreck, and it caused so much pain in my back, and we just didn't have the money to treat it at the time, and it was causing me a lot of pain. I just remember I would just lay on the couch and just cry and ask my husband to like massage it out, or try to, because it just hurt all the time. It was so painful, and again, I was just seeking the Lord, knowing that the Lord was a healer, and just asking him that he would heal my back, and that he would help my spine to go back to the way that it was supposed to go to. And for about over a year, I just kept asking the Lord for that. And then one day I woke up and the pain was gone and it never came back. And I just knew, I knew that the Lord had healed me. And sure enough, I was able to get x-rays done again on my spine a couple years later, and there was no spinal injury there anymore. The Lord had put my back into the way that it was supposed to be. And I just felt so seen in that moment. He saw my pain, he saw my suffering, and he healed me. I was just so grateful for that. It was so beautiful. Other things I've seen the Lord move in is just I've seen him transform me as a wife in my marriage. When we first got married, we just did not have the most healthy dynamic, or we just had a lot of things to work through, both of us, from past relationships and things that we were dating. And again, I just sought the Lord, and we both would just pray over ourselves and over our marriage, so much that the Lord would show us how to be a wife that honors the Lord, and how to have a dynamic that honors the Lord. And man, I can say, like, years later, we are just so much more transformed, to be like Christ than we were at the beginning of our marriage. And it has been so beautiful to see the Lord continually work in this area of transforming my heart as a wife and our marriage dynamic together, and just like the grace and the covering, and again the patience of Jesus to just walk that out with us day by day, and show us how to honor him in everything that we do. That's been a really beautiful testimony of the Lord as well, and just his faithfulness. And I've also seen him transform me as a mother, because there was a really big season in my life where mothering just felt exhausting, and I kind of resented it, just because of the servant, selfless nature that you have to be a mother after the Lord's heart. And I think there was just a long season where I just did not want that. I resented it. I was always just annoyed that that was my role, or what was required of me. And so I gave it to the Lord again. I just sought him in prayer and asked him to change my heart, to see the blessing in my children, to change me into a mother that honors him and that loves being a mom. And sure enough, like, that is who I am today. I adore being a mom and being with my kids, and I see it as a gift to be able to raise them up and to love on them and to pour out into them so much. And it is such a blessing. It is such a blessing. And I just think that's, again, just so sweet that the Lord would change my mind and my heart towards mothering and towards this role that he has given me and blessed me with. And I'm just really grateful for that. There was a season very recently in our marriage that we went a whole year without income, and the Lord provided financially for that entire year. This is actually just so crazy to think about sometimes. But yeah, we did not have income for a whole year, and we were just constantly asking the Lord, like, what do you want us to do right now? Like, we will do anything. You will just tell us and we will move. Like, we were just ready. And we just felt so clearly that he was just asking us to wait on the Lord, to seek him first above all else, above income, above needing a paycheck, above all these things that felt like very rushed needs. And it did not make any sense, and I don't think anybody around us understood why we made the decisions that we did and why we chose to be faithful to what the Lord asked us to do. And at times we thought different doors would open up and they never did. And it was just a whole long year of utter and total dependence on the Lord. There was a couple times where our bank account went to almost literally nothing. And like, we would just be sitting there like, Lord, what are you doing? Like, we don't know. We don't know what to do right now. And then the Lord would provide an opportunity, or someone would feel led to bless us, or whatever it was. At every single moment, at every single need, the Lord showed up, and He put someone in our lives to fulfill the need that was there. And wow, that was such a hard season, but it taught me that the Lord is so trustworthy. We were depending on Him for our every need, and He was faithful to supply it. And it was really intense, you know. I think most of us don't ever really have to live a season where it's that drastic, but I felt like the Lord really stripped away every single foundation in that season that we could have depended on, so that we would learn to just depend on Him. And that set us on a foundation that we have needed to stand on now in this next season. And I see His goodness and His faithfulness and all of that, that He really needed our hearts to draw near and depend on Him. And He is so trustworthy and so worthy of our dependence. And so I was just really grateful for that. The Lord is so, so good. He's so good. I'm sure like, as I'm like thinking about all these, there's so many things that come to mind of like all these different moments where the Lord showed up in our lives. But through all of that, I just feel like the Lord has solidified His character to me, that He answers prayers, that He's a redeemer, He's a healer, He sets the captives free, He reclaims identity, that He is the source of fulfillment and joy and purpose, that He is faithful and He is near. He transforms the heart of His people, that He provides, that He protects, and that He is worth every single cost. Like, seriously, I have lived enough life and seen His faithfulness in so many ways that I just know that He's worth it. He is so, so good. And currently, we are walking into a season where we really need the Lord to show up again and move in a lot of different ways. We have a lot of moving parts going on in our life, and we're just so expectant that the Lord is going to continue to be faithful, because He has been faithful for our whole lives. And every time that I think about the future, I remember the past to remind me to believe and to pray in faith, because in the past, we've been in similar situations on a more minor scale, and the Lord has never once failed us, and He has always been faithful and always, always provided, and always just shown up in really beautiful ways. And so I just have been reminding my heart so much to remember those things as we believe for what's to come, as we walk into what's to come. And I really think that is why the Lord constantly reminded the Israelites to remember Egypt. And that is when the Lord brought the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt through a lot of miraculous plagues and things over the Egyptians, and they were set free from captivity. And the Lord parted the Red Sea. He fed them manna and birds from heaven. Like, you literally just provided for them every single morning, and water in the desert, you know, all the things that they needed. And at every point that they would question Him, or that they would start to wrestle with Him, He would literally say, like, do you not remember what I did for you in Egypt, what I did for you in the wilderness? Do you not remember my faithfulness over you? And I think that that's why He does that. He constantly reminds us to remember His faithfulness, because here's the thing is, Satan can't convince me that God isn't faithful when I remember all the ways that He has been faithful, that He is currently faithful. And Satan can't convince me that God doesn't care about the details when I remember all the ways that he has so articulately blessed us with details, like way more than we could have even asked for. And Satan can't convince me that my struggles will never end when I have been set free already, right? It's our testimonies through Jesus are the power that we stand on to say no to the enemy when he comes knocking. It's the power that we stand on to be able to dispel lies with truth. And it is truly the power that I have stood on to be able to combat all the things that the enemy has been trying to discourage me with lately. And I think that this is such a like taboo phrase that we hear all the time, but I feel like it's exactly what Revelation is talking about when it says, like, don't forget that you're living in the prayers that you once prayed. And I think that sometimes we get so focused on like what the next thing is that we need the Lord to move in our life that we just don't ever take the time to remember that the Lord has already moved in so many beautiful ways. And that is the faith and the power that we need to stand on when we are asking for and moving into the next things that we need him for, that we're depending on him for, right? And it's this constant balance in life. But I think the Lord reminds us all the time that we need to remember his faithfulness and that we conquer the enemy, we conquer the lies of the enemy, we conquer the discouragement of the enemy and the attacks of the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimonies, by remembering what the Lord has done in our lives. And if you don't have any personal testimonies yet, maybe you're new to walking with God, or just haven't fully lived a life in submission or asked him to be a part of your life in certain ways, just let this be an encouragement to you of all the ways that the Lord can move. He is a physical healer. He is Lord over diagnosis. He is a provider. He is a changer of hearts. He transforms marriages, people. He changes situations. He provides in ways we can't even understand. He heals. And he redeems. He's such a good Abba. So if you have not had your own experience with that, or if there's something you're currently believing for that you just feel like is so big and so hard, may this be an encouragement to you that the Lord is big enough and he is strong enough and he is powerful enough to move in the ways that you are asking him to move. Surrender to him. Pray, seek him, seek his face, and just know that he is faithful. Remember the ways that he's been faithful as you continue to stand on those moments and proclaim what is to come, what he is going to move in the future. So yeah, I hope this encourages you guys today. Let's not let the enemy win. Let's not let his lies win, his discouragement win, because our God is bigger and stronger and moving in more ways than we even know. So let's rebuke the lies and remember truth today. Remember the Lord's faithfulness today. I love you guys.